Your perception of this physical reality is a direct reflection of the inner workings of your most internal subconscious mind. If you look at the state of the world and you have thoughts talking about how we're in the end of times, or we're in a doomsday world, or it's the end of the world, or whatever, there is an aspect within you that does not feel worthy of being saved. If you are someone who perhaps blames other people or gets angry at other people, there is an inner part of you that has not forgiven yourself, that sees yourself as a sinner. The list could go on. But the point is that your perspective of the world is your perspective of the world. It does not belong to me. It does not belong to your neighbor. It does not belong to anybody except for you. Same as the occurrences that happen in your life, they belong to you. These things aren't happening to your brother. These things aren't happening to your neighbor. These things aren't happening to your best friend. These things are happening to you. And it is for a reason. And this is not because you should shame yourself, or you should feel guilty about yourself, or feel shame for the way that you perceive the world. It is simply just something pointing to a shadow within you that needs your direct attention, care, and love. It's as simple as that. We all have them. We all have shadow aspects within us. And when we continue to say things like it's the end of the world, rather than going inwards and looking at the part of us that doesn't feel safe, looking at the part of us that doesn't feel worthy of having a good life, we're just perpetuating the lifespan of the occurrences that reflect back to you the belief that you are not worthy, that you are not safe. So it is very powerful to take complete and total ownership of the way that you view the world. Everything. The way that you view everyone and everything. And this isn't to say that there aren't people doing horrible, evil, terrible things. This is true. And if you look for them, you will find them. But there are infinite perspectives on how you could view these things. Yes, grieve, feel the rage, feel the sorrow, but then come back to center. Your emotions are sacred. Do not tell yourself that you should not feel enraged by what is happening in the world. Do not shame yourself for feeling grief and sorrow around what is going on in this world, because we are living on earth at a very intense and chaotic time. Move through the emotions that arise, but then come back to center. Choose to forgive the world, because the world is an illusion. This is not the real world. This is the world that we dreamt up and created out of the thought of separation. We are still in heaven. We are still at the source. We never left the source. We never left God. We simply had a thought of what would life be like if we could be separate from unconditional love. Which, by the way, saying unconditional love is still rooted in duality, because why do you need to specify that love is unconditional unless there is a world where there is conditional love? So when you're actually at the source, there is only love. It's not even unconditional love. It's just love. We never left the source of love. We are simply dreaming that we created this world, and it feels real. It feels real because we are in the, what's it called? The flip side. Like, if the top of the hourglass is the truth, is being home with God, the inverted matrix, the inverted world is down below, and that's where we are at. We went through, like an hourglass, we went through the portal where the sand drips into the inverted matrix where everything is the opposite of the truth, because we wanted to know what life would be like in separation. And because we are so powerful, we created an inverted matrix to experience what we wanted to experience. So, when you're viewing your life, how can you bring your perception back as close to the top of the hourglass as possible? Even if it's just viewing things with neutral eyes or with forgiving eyes, even if you can't quite see where the love is, where the peace is, it's because it's not here. It's not in this world. This is not a world made out of love and peace and bliss and harmony. Otherwise, it wouldn't look like how it looks like. So everyone who's talking about, everything is love, everything is peace, that's just spiritual bypassing. This is not a world of love or peace. This is a world that was created through the thought of separation. This is the inverted matrix. And the only way to quote unquote escape the matrix is not by vibrating higher or ascending up out of your body. It's by descending deeply into the inverted world so that you can anchor the presence of love here now, so that you can alchemize the inverted world with the presence of love. And you do this by becoming the divine witness of life, viewing life from the perspective of the divine, which is all loving, all forgiving. There is even no such thing as forgiveness when we're in the true world, because sin doesn't exist. What is there to forgive? Anything that needs to be forgiven doesn't exist. So the closer that you can get to seeing this world through the perspective of the true world, through forgiveness for now, the more free you will become. And the more you will start to see the world from a different lens. You will not be so attached to this physical reality that you're stuck in this doomsday mindset, because you understand that this is an inverted matrix. This is the false world. This is the fallen world. And we did not come here to solidify this world as truth, because it's not. We came here to bring the light of truth to the fallen world, to alchemize it, to transform it from within. It's like we're secret agents. We're undercover agents of love and light. But that doesn't mean bypassing and being all like, oh, everything is love, everything is beautiful. No. True love stands against evil, not from a place of I need to fight and battle this evil to get rid of it, but more from a centered place of evil does not even exist, and so I will not even react to you or give you my energy or time or attention, because you're not real. Knowing when it's time to stand firm in our boundaries and to stand up against evil, when to use our voice, when to use our physical power, and when to simply just observe with loving eyes to alchemize this reality. So the way that you look at the world is pointing directly to the shadows within you that are still keeping you tethered to the fallen world. And it is a choice. It's a choice to keep yourself tethered to the fallen world. It's just that we're so distracted and numbed out all the time that we aren't even consciously aware that we're making that choice. But it's a choice to attach ourselves to the fallen world through direct identification with our shadow, through speaking through our shadow into the world, through acting through our shadow into the world. That is a choice to solidify the false world into physicality. The reason the world looks the way it does is because we have so many individual egos acting and speaking from their shadow, from the false matrix within, from the inverted matrix within, that they are solidifying that into physical reality. When we have more people who are willing to see the world as the false inverted matrix that it is, and to only engage with it through the lens of the divine, to only take action and speak words through the lens of the divine, that's when this world begins to morph and shift and change, is when the majority of the people on the planet begin acting and speaking from the divine witness rather than from the inverted matrix within, that is our shadow. And now we're not scolding or shaming or burning our shadow. We are loving our shadow. The only way to alchemize our shadow, the only way to alchemize a soulless world, is to love the sacred in them until the sacred in them remembers. That's a quote. I don't know whose quote it is. The only way to alchemize or to reintegrate your shadow is by loving it. You cannot shame it away. Okay, this is like very organized religion of we must atone for our sins and you're a sinner, you're nothing more than a lowly human. Like, that's not, this isn't true. This is a part of the inverted false matrix. Okay, this is not true. The sooner that you can begin acting and speaking only from the space of the divine witness, the sooner the world transforms. So it is like, that is our freaking mission here on earth. All the other things that we're working on aside, our number one mission is to become so aware of our inner world that we can pinpoint where we are still speaking and acting from shadow, where we are still giving into and solidifying the inverted matrix into physicality, and begin taking our power back by making the choice to no longer act and speak from these places, which takes a lot of awareness, discipline, and willpower. But you are a divine spark of God's consciousness. You have all of those things easily. You only need to get your physical body with the program, which is why that's like so powerful to reprogram your mind, to reprogram your subconscious, blah blah blah. It's because like we're already so programmed with all these little habits that annoy the crap out of us. Like, okay, I know I'm doing this out of a place of low self-worth, but I'm still doing it and I don't know why, and it's driving me crazy. I get it. I have so many little habits that I am completely aware of, but I just cannot stop doing them. Like, it drives me crazy. But that's the work, is just becoming aware, becoming aware so much, and bringing love and compassion to yourself in those moments over and over and over and over and over again, until one day you're just going to stop doing it. It's going to fall out of your life because it no longer aligns with your new frequency, which is created through forgiveness and compassion. It's not that you force yourself to stop these habits that stem from low self-worth. It's that you love yourself and forgive yourself through them, that you raise your frequency, and the habits just naturally fall out of your life because they no longer align to your new reality. But if you're constantly shaming yourself and judging yourself and guilting yourself while doing these habits, your frequency is so low that these habits still resonate with that frequency. They're going to stick around longer. When you raise your vibration, when you raise your frequency through awareness, forgiveness, and compassion, they naturally fall out of your life. And it's not a game of forcing and pushing, it's a game of grace. So I understand. Trust me. All I do all day long is observe myself, observe my thoughts, observe my interactions, observe my actions, observe my habits, observe the way I eat, observe what clothes I pick out and why. Like, literally, all I do all day long, every day, is observe myself. So trust me, I understand. And I understand it's not easy. But that is why we have been gifted forgiveness and grace and compassion. That is the ticket home. Those three things are the ticket home: forgiveness, grace, and compassion. It's not through force or manipulation or pushing yourself. Like, this is the ego trying to control. Like, oh, so you're telling me this action is coming from low self-worth, so I just get rid of this action and I won't have low self-worth anymore. Okay, let me control because I want to prove myself. I want to be good enough to get into heaven, so I'm going to get rid of all of my habits that stem from low self-worth. That is literally your ego trying to control whether or not you're going to heaven or hell because of this religious idea of heaven or hell, which is simply just a state of consciousness, and you put yourself there. It's not some overlording God that's like, you're going to hell and no, it's you. It's you deciding what state of consciousness you want to reside in: shame and guilt, or grace, forgiveness, and compassion. It's so simple. You do not even have to change your actions. You just have to bring compassion and forgiveness to yourself when you observe that you're doing them, and then naturally they'll begin to fall away because they no longer resonate with the frequency you're at when you're in a state of forgiveness. So, truly, this is the work. All side quests aside, they're beautiful. Creation, yes, magical. We are also creator beings that are here to create worlds and all of this. But like, the number one mission is complete and total awareness of our physical reality, mastery, self mastery of ourselves and our physical reality, not because we're manipulating and controlling through the ego, but because we've learned how to surrender to grace, compassion, and forgiveness through the divine. We have begun to understand where we are acting from our shadow, from our ego, from our unhealed parts of ourselves, and contributing to the creation of this inverted matrix, and where we are choosing to no longer play that game and to rise up into the true reality, and to only and to how do I want to put that, and to live from here. And the in between from these two places, the inverted matrix and true reality, is the little portal where the sand drips. That is where the two worlds meet through forgiveness, compassion, and grace. Okay, so when you're playing down here in the inverted false matrix, you're in shame, greed, denial, low self worth. Okay, and if you can just simply bring yourself up, bring yourself into a state of compassion and forgiveness, then you reach the portal where the two worlds meet. And through the grace of God, you will be lifted up out of this portal into the true world, which is when all of your habits and thoughts and actions that do not align with this true world fall away. But you must first be willing to bring yourself from a state of shame and guilt, denial, judgment, whatever, into a state of grace, compassion, and forgiveness. That is how you meet the divine halfway, and then you will be lifted through the grace of God into the true world, and everything else will just fall away. Wow. Being hard on ourselves, judging ourselves, forcing ourselves, manipulating, controlling was never the way. That is like in the story of Babel, when all of the humans tried to build a physical tower to the heavens, and then the tower fell, and they fell back down to the earth. They fell deeper into a lower state of consciousness and dispersed all over the world. That wasn't because God was punishing them for thinking that they were worthy of getting themselves to heaven. It was because they were trying to use their ego to get to heaven through manipulation and control, rather than surrendering to the divine will, which is forgiveness and compassion, and then by the grace of God being lifted to the heavens through the divine, not through your ego. It is seriously that simple, but it is not easy. Forgiveness, grace, and compassion is the way. And the sooner we can forgive this world, because it's not the true world, it's the inverted false matrix, the sooner we can actually forgive and not just pretend like we forgive the world, allow ourselves to go through the grief, to go through the rage, to go through the sorrow. Do not bypass these emotions because you're like, well, I just have to forgive the world. So whatever, fine, I forgive it. But then you're suppressing all of this grief and rage. That is not how it's done. You must go through the physical motions of true forgiveness, which takes you through your grief, takes you through your rage, takes you through your sorrow, takes you through your hopelessness. And these things are not fun to move through, but you must move through them in order to come into a state of true forgiveness. You can't just pretend to forgive. You have to actually forgive by going through the stages of forgiveness. Everything else is just a lie. And you can't fake your frequency. Frequency, energy does not lie. You have to be real. You have to be the most real with yourself that you have ever been. You have to be willing to meet the scary, dark parts of yourselves that don't want to forgive, that want to set the world on fire. The parts of yourselves that you're afraid to look at because of what you think it means about you. You must face them because those are the parts of you that are manifesting physically into the world and keeping you trapped in the false matrix. And you cannot pretend to face those parts of you. You have to actually face those parts of you. And it's terrifying. And this is why so many people go into like psychosis or their minds break and all of this terrible things, forcing themselves through Kundalini awakenings because they think it's cool and new age. You cannot force these things. You must surrender to the divine. You must ask the mother, the divine mother aspect of God, to guide you through this process. This is not something you can force yourself through with your ego, because so many people go crazy trying to force themselves through a Kundalini awakening, through meeting their shadow. You must surrender and trust that the mother will guide you through it in your own divine timing. And you must be humble and honest with yourself, because that's the only way. You cannot fake your way through to the true world. You cannot. You must be willing to look at all of the attachments that you have down here in the inverted matrix before you can reach the state of grace and forgiveness and compassion, before you can be lifted by the grace of God into the true world. You cannot love and light your way up here. You must face the darkness. You must be brutally honest with yourself. And then once you've gone through the stages, you must forgive. But you cannot pretend to forgive. You must actually forgive. And it's a process that takes time. That is why we have entered space and time. Space and time. That is why we have entered space and time, to utilize it, to bring ourselves, to bring this world back to the true world. It can only be done through entering the physicality that this world is. We are like doing an inside job here. This is an inside job. This cannot be done from the heavens. You cannot be in a higher dimension, out of physicality, vibrating as an energy being somewhere and raise the frequency of this planet. You have to descend down into the inverted matrix in order to help it alchemize into the true world. And that is why we are here. That is the only reason we are here, is to bring this world home. But not this world as it is now, to bring all of the souls and sparks of God's consciousness that are trapped here, that are trapped in the inverted matrix, to bring them home. But you're not saving anybody. You're not carrying anybody on your back. through the portal. They have to do it on their own, but you can help guide the way to help light up the path so that it's not as hard to find. This is why you must look at everything that you perceive about this world as if it's coming from within you, because that is the only way to truly transform this world, is from within. That is the only way. You can judge and project and blame and throw it on other people and corporations and leaders and politicians all you want, but that is not going to be the only thing that creates change. And this is going to depend whether or not you are on the path of a true, like the true, like deep spiritual path, or if you are here to be a social justice worker. Both are necessary, both are important, but it comes a time where you actually have to choose which path you're walking. Are you walking the path of the social justice warrior? You're going outside of yourself and you're creating change in the physical world. Beautiful. We need that too. Or are you choosing the path, the true, deep spiritual path where all of the work you do is internal? That is a choice at some point on this path we have to choose. And you cannot judge the other choice because it's just as needed. And the choice is yours. It's whatever, and it can change throughout your life. So I have no idea what I just said. I'm going to play that back and watch it again because I'm just like, wow. Like internally, it's an energy that I'm feeling, that I'm like allowing to pour out of me. And I always feel self-conscious at the end of these because I'm like, I literally have no clue what I just said. I did not plan this. I did not have a structure to this. I just started flowing this message from my vessel. And I always get a little self-conscious at the end, like, well, I hope that made sense, or it wasn't just like mumbo jumbo. But it's an energy and I can feel it, and it makes so much sense feeling into it, tuning into this energy that is coming out of me. It is so resonant. So I hope, if anything, you can feel the energy behind this message. I love you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for helping, serving. Thank you for serving this world. We're doing it. We're really doing it. Okay. Bye.